preface with sorry. We thought we had tested that password piece out, but this is a good learning opportunity for us as well. So thank you everyone for bearing with us. I'm glad that you are all able to get in. My name is Kate Thompson. I'm the LMS coordinator here. If you don't know me, I'm glad that we're meeting now, and I will pass it over to Cecilia.
Yes, and my name is Cecilia, Cecilia Vetter. I am an instruction and outreach librarian and specifically liaison to the College of Health and Sciences. I don't know many of you. I started right in the beginning of July, and so I'm getting excited to meet people who are part of CSP.
Right, so today we are here to do kind of a basic overview on Zoom. So first off, what is Zoom? Zoom is a video conferencing platform recently added here at CSP. So we just wanted to do a little introduction to it. Go ahead and get started. And if you have any questions, please feel free to enter them into the chat. Otherwise, we'll definitely have questions at the time for questions at the end. So a couple of frequently asked questions that we're already getting. So we want to just address those right away. Why did CSP license Zoom? We already have Blackboard Collaborate, we've got Google Meet. With this past semester, the spring semester and summer, with that growing need for online communication and video conferencing, CSP is always looking to find the best option to fit our faculty and our students. Additionally, this was a license that our Portland school was using, so it was something that we wanted to look into and try it out. That being said, do you have to use Zoom? No, Zoom is an option. Blackboard Collaborate is still fully available to you as faculty. If you choose to use Blackboard Collaborate, that's great. If you prefer Zoom, that's great too. It's your own personal preference and choice. Another commonly asked question, what if I already had a personal Zoom account? Some students or faculty had gone ahead and gotten a Zoom account on their own for their own reasons, which is great. If you did have a personal Zoom account that was registered using your CSP email, that should transfer to our CSP license, and you should get a refund from Zoom, depending on your licensing. But it should be automatic. I know a few faculty who've already received that refund. Does anyone have any questions on any of these frequently asked questions? Nope? Okay, we'll go on then. So what's the difference between Zoom and Collaborate? They're both video conferencing tools. They're both fully available to us. They both have their ups and downs like any technology tool. Both platforms allow you to share your screen, share PowerPoint, whiteboards, YouTube videos, files, what have you not, on both platforms. So the sharing content option is still pretty comparable and similar between platforms. We're getting into a difference then. As you've seen, Zoom does require a waiting room or a password. Right now, CSP is requiring that, and eventually Zoom in the next month or here is going to make that a requirement across the board as well. So it won't be configurable, it's just going to be required. On the other hand, Collaborate is open entry. As long as it's available in your course, it's available to your students. Move on. Both platforms allow for breakout groups to allow that small group discussion within your session. One cool thing about Zoom is that you can save these breakout groups for future use. So if it's a recurring meeting and these are the same small groups, you can save it for your next meeting as well, rather than in Collaborate having to constantly create those groups on demand. The next, we do have a Blackboard integration available for Zoom, which we'll briefly show you in a minute here. So you can integrate your meetings directly into your course. On the other hand, Collaborate is fully integrated, just a little bit more integration than Zoom, but still an integration available for both. Looks like Rhoda's got a question. In Zoom, can I assign people to the groups before the meeting begins? Yes, you can, and that is a little bit more of an advanced option. So yes, huzzah, that is a great option. So you can, um, and I would say if you have questions on doing some of the more advanced things like that, to just reach out to us after the meeting or in your best convenience. Um, Sorry, so to go back, attendance reporting available in both platforms. And lastly, the big difference here then is this with Zoom, a separate account is required. All faculty at this point, adjunct or full-time, have accounts, all staff have accounts, and all current CSP students will be receiving accounts on, I believe it was August 10th. With that being said, there's always the small chance that a student didn't get picked up in a poll and didn't get their account created. So while it's a small chance, I like to be transparent that there is a chance that a student may have gotten missed in getting a Zoom account created. So there's that possibility of a little bit of disconnect. Whereas with Collaborate, it's based fully off of your Blackboard account. Mark, does Zoom attendance flow directly into the attendance feather of Blackboard? No, it does not. So the attendance feature with Zoom, it does not integrate directly into Blackboard's attendance feature. It is a separate report that you, it's automatic in Zoom, but you do have to look at it separately. Hopefully that answers that question. Does anyone else have any other questions on the differences right now? Okay. So I've been talking about how we have an integration for Zoom into Blackboard. So I'm just going to quickly show you the simple steps to add Zoom into your course. And this is something that you can do today whenever it's fully available to you at this time. So what you would do is click on the Add menu item icon at the top of your course. It's this little plus sign, and you're going to select Tool Link. You'll get a little pop-up. You'll name it Zoom, whatever your preference is. And then from the drop-down menu for type, you'll select Zoom Meeting. Make sure you make it available to your users and click Submit. You see that this adds a menu item in the left-hand side of your course. And that is how both you and your students will access the Zoom integration. Again, very similar to Collaborate. So once you click on Zoom, this is what you'll see. You can see your upcoming meetings, previous meetings, your personal meeting room, which is a great use for virtual office hours, things like that, and then recordings. Students, on the other hand, would see upcoming meetings, previous meetings, and recordings. So again, similar to Collaborate, they can see meetings that are coming up, old meetings, and they can see the recordings that you've done of the sessions. You can also schedule your meetings directly from this integration, which is really helpful. If you are planning to use Zoom, we would heavily suggest going this route using the integration because again, it's going to automate those meetings right into your course, which is a really great option. So after you've clicked schedule a meeting, you can enter in the topic, the description if you want. You know, if there's something that you want the students to read before the meeting, maybe say, make sure you read chapter 1 before entering. You can enter the meeting time, the duration, the time zone, which is helpful, especially for online classes where we have students all over the country. You can choose if it's a recurring meeting or not. Security, again, a password and a waiting room are required. We suggest making the passcode something really easy for your students to remember. You know, if you're in KHS 110, maybe make the password KHS 110, up to you. You can choose if you would like the host and the participant to enter with their video on or off, whether you're allowing people to join with their telephone or computer audio. A few different meeting options. If you want to have an alternate host, for example, right now Cecilia and I are both hosts in this meeting, so it means that we both have the option to share our screen and a couple more admin features. Then you click save and you're off and running.
All right. So the first thing is waiting rooms are required. Right now, that's just required at CSP, but Zoom is going to make that a requirement. You may have heard of something called Zoom bombing, where essentially someone who is not part of your institution, someone you do not know, comes in and becomes disruptive. And so to do that as a waiting room, you can admit known people. So in this image here, you can see that their face is kind of grayed out as they're in the waiting room, and you just have to click admit. If you are going to be having a Zoom meeting with a large number of people, our Zoom accounts allow up to, I believe, 300. There is a way to disable that waiting room if you don't want to individually allow in hundreds of people, but that's something that's more of an advanced feature that you'd really want to talk to us before doing anything like that. And you will get a pop-up. So right here in this image, the participant tab is open where you can see everyone who's in your meeting. But if you have that closed, you will have something pop up on your screen and say, hey, this person's waiting in your waiting room. All right, next. Another big thing with Zoom is screen sharing just looks a little bit different than it does in Blackboard Collaborate. So on your bottom menu, there will be a green box that says screen share. This is something that you can have it set that just you as the instructor can screen share, or allowing your students to screen share is another option. Next slide. So when you click on that green screen share box, you're going to have this box pop up, and it's going to have a lot of options. Typically, the easiest one to pick is just to share your entire screen, which is up there on the top left, and then click share. If you do want just a specific tab or window to open, you can also pick that as well. And then I also want to point out that there is a whiteboard feature that allows you to, if you're writing equations or drawing something, it has that more free-form way of presenting. And then I see we have a question, students sometimes drop out and rejoin, do they have to be readmitted a second time? And the answer to that is yes. Anytime anyone's coming into the meeting, they have to be admitted from the waiting room. All right, next slide. And then the other thing is, if you are ready to stop sharing, you will have this menu of options at the top of your computer when you are sharing. So typically that bar menu is at the bottom of your screen if you're not sharing, but when you start sharing, it moves to the top. And the way to stop sharing is there is that little stop share red rectangle for you to click on. Sometimes you have to go to the top of your screen to get that menu to drop down, because it will kind of like go up it'll go and hide until you're ready to exit the screen. All right, next slide. So the next thing we want to talk about is breakout rooms. So the nice thing about this is it's a way to have your students work in small groups. So to find where you get to breakout rooms on that menu that lives on the bottom of your screen, on the far right, there's those three little dots that say more. And when you click on that, there is an option for breakout rooms, as you can see here on this slide. So once you click on that, next slide, you're going to get a pop out, and it starts out with just one breakout room, but there is a button at the bottom that says add a room. So you can add as many rooms as you want depending on the number of students and the activity you're doing. And then right now, this is a description of how I assigned people to breakout rooms in a live session. So we were already in the middle of a meeting. But like Kate said, there is an option to pre-assign your students to breakout rooms that we would consider a little bit more of an advanced feature. And we're always happy to help you one-on-one if you have questions about that. But as you can see, when I had 2 breakout rooms created, there was just an assign button on the right-hand side of each breakout room, and it allows me to check the names of the people that I want to join that room. Next slide. And so once you have your students assigned into those breakout rooms, you can see here I have 2 students in each breakout room. You then just open the rooms. So in this teacher view, you can see that pop out and there's that blue open all rooms. And then the students will get that student view on the left-hand side that says, you know, you're being invited to a breakout room, and the students have to manually click join. So that is something that you might need to remind your students that they need to click that join button. I do not know the answer about random Zoom breakout rooms. I don't know if you do, Kate, but looks like she might be answering that. The other thing is, if you were to hover over someone's name in these breakout rooms, you can switch them into different rooms if you, or remove them if you accidentally put someone in the wrong room. So it's pretty easy in the moment to move people around as needed. And like I said, I did this all live while the meeting was happening, and it was pretty straightforward how to get people in the rooms and move them around. All right, next slide. So then once you're in the breakout room, so on the left-hand side, I have part of that bottom menu that students would see that, you know, includes your mute, your video, your participants, chat, screen share, things like that. But when a student is in a breakout room, a button called Ask for Help appears. And so if you have multiple breakout rooms and the students have been working on an activity and they realize that they really need the teacher to join, they can press that Ask for Help button, and the teacher will get a notification that says, you know, this person has asked for help, and it gives you a way to quickly jump into that room. So as an instructor, you can jump in and out of the different breakout rooms and talk with the smaller groups. This, it only takes a couple seconds to kind of jump into those rooms, and it's nice because as an instructor, you can kind of, you know, let students know about this Ask for Help button and then kind of go where you're needed. And there is a way to then leave that breakout room once you have joined it. All right, next slide. So, and then the last thing I wanted to point out was closing a breakout room. So if you want to bring the whole class back together, as a teacher, you'll have that breakout room pop out, and you can hit close breakout room, and at the bottom you'll see students are given 60 seconds total to leave their rooms. So when you click that end breakout rooms, the students will get a pop out that says breakout rooms will close in, you know, 60 seconds, and it starts counting down. They can choose to leave that breakout room and by clicking the button, or within 60 seconds they will automatically be brought back. So in this teacher view on the right hand side, you'll see that 3 of the students are in gray and it says not joined, and that is because those students are already back into the main group meeting, and we're just waiting on that one student who has the green dot next to their name to come and join the full. So you can kind of see where your students are as they progress, but once you hit that 60 seconds, everyone will be brought back into the big meeting. All right, next slide. And then the last slide that I just wanted to talk about is, as a host, you do have the power to remove disruptive students. It is a way to kind of monitor these and keep these classes as a safe environment. So at that menu that is across the bottom of the Zoom screen, there's a participants button. And when you click on the participants button, you'll have a box pop up that lists all of your participants. And as a host or a co-host, you can click on the right-hand side of anyone's name, and it will give you a drop-down box. And from that drop-down box, you can actually remove someone, and that takes them out of the meeting. And this is something that if they wanted to rejoin the meeting, they would have to go through the waiting room again. So any questions? And then you can also see in that kind of drop down that you can stop someone's video if maybe they have it turned on and they don't realize, things like that. All right, any questions on what we went over?
Yeah, and if
What does spotlight video mean? Yeah, so that is where that puts the video in kind of like the main view. So if someone is doing a class presentation, you can have their video as the center focal point. As opposed to that gallery view where kind of you're watching everyone as like small little thumbnails. And I think I heard a voice. Does someone have a question?
All right, Phil, so all attendees can upload for presentations. That is a setting that you can, I believe, set when you're creating the meeting. Can also be, you can give presentation rights, I believe, during the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right, Cecilia?
So so when you're looking at, I think all of you will be able to see this, there is your black menu bar that goes across the bottom. As a host, there's a little caret next to the screen share, and it will allow me to go in and say, who can share? Is it all participants or is it just the host? And the nice thing is even if you give that presentation power to your students, you can always like present on like cover up their presentation. So essentially if they're finished presenting and they don't know like how to stop presenting, you can just start presenting your screen and it will automatically turn theirs off. So as the host, you can kind of always trump whatever presentation a non-host is showing. There's also an option for multiple presenters at the same time, and that's really only recommended if someone has dual monitors, so that's not something totally recommend. All attendees, access to audio, video, whiteboard, presentations, note-taking.
Yes, yep, they do.
Yeah, the whiteboard was the one I wasn't 100% sure about, but
yes, they do. Yeah, they have that option to have that group time to share content and use the whiteboard to collaborate.
So one thing that I like, you're talking about having students watch clips and things like that. There's also a feature where when you are in breakout rooms that you can send chat messages to the whole group. So as the instructor, you can send a message that all students will get, such as like, you have 5 more minutes of group time before we're coming back to class, or things like that.
Yeah, and you can definitely share. I know YouTube clips was kind of a hot topic in Collaborate because there's a weird little button that you have to press to make sure that it works. You can share YouTube clips and TED Talks, things like that, using the share screen option with Zoom.
I have not played with the whiteboard in the small groups enough.
Yeah, I believe that that's a yes. Rhoda, there is an option to save whiteboard annotations. So what students would want to do if they wanted to share something that they had created in their groups would be to save those whiteboard annotations and then present them once they got into the main group.
Mm-hmm. I also know that when using the whiteboard, if you are in a large group setting, multiple people can be writing on that whiteboard as well, not just the host. So if you wanted, each group to write one thing up on the whiteboard, that's an option as well. Any other questions? These all have been great.
Yeah, and if you have questions that you think of later, feel free to reach out. We're here to help. It's definitely, as you can see when we started the meeting, it's a new feature that we're all working to learn. So you might have a question that we don't know the answer to right away, but we're happy to look into it for you.
And then additionally, something that we did to prep for this meeting was we asked a couple coworkers to be kind of like pretend students so we could see what it was like to actually put people in breakout rooms beforehand.
Um, Mark,
So,
oh, go ahead, Cecilia.
oh, I can answer the whiteboard
Yeah.
question. So if we were in a whiteboard, and I think I'm going to stop sharing your screen, Kate, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I am going to bring up a whiteboard, and I believe you can all see it. This is me trying to write. So Kate has the option to write in here, I believe, and
I do.
I believe some of these as participants might even as well. But for me as the host, I can choose to either clear all drawings, just clear my own drawings, or clear the drawings of viewers, so anyone who isn't me. So you as a teacher can kind of decide whose drawings to clear. There's also a manual eraser if you just want to erase little chunks. All right. I cannot see the chat now.
Yeah, so David is asking, what is the procedure to get to the whiteboard to draw, and how can students draw?
Yes, so let's see if we can do that together. I think that might be an easiest process. So the way to get to the whiteboard is through that share screen, and then instead of clicking like to share your computer screen, the option to the right of that is just whiteboard. And so that is what I shared right now. And actually, as kind of a test, I'm curious if those of you who are on are able to draw on this whiteboard, or if I have to change a setting to let everyone write.
Yeah, so if you can, it would say, does anyone see the view options piece at the top? No?
Okay. It's disabled. Okay, so let me see. Oh, sharing is disabled. Okay, then let me go. So I'm going to stop this share real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if all participants can share. I have changed that setting. And then let me see if I can share a whiteboard now. Okay, so I've made it so that anyone can share. If you want to go ahead and try to see if you can access the whiteboard, you have to grab a drawing tool up top.
Yeah, so you should see a view options, and then you need to click annotate, and that should bring up the tool, like the drawing tools.
So I'm not saying where the view options is.
Okay, do you see at the top where it says you are viewing Cecilia Vetter's screen?
Oh, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Also, there are text boxes, and I'm so happy that people are
having fun,
able to put stuff in. And so, like I said,
do I need a stylus to draw in this?
So there is a menu across the top that allows you to grab essentially you can draw with your mouse. I don't have great handwriting with my mouse, but
David, if you have a touch screen, you can actually use your finger right on the screen.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's even a select button where you can select things and then move them around. And then I, as the presenter, I'm going to clear my drawings. And so what you'll see is that big black hi will go away, but all of your drawings are still on there. And yeah, so this is something that, I think has a lot of potential. Yep, someone else cleared their drawings. So yeah, so if students want to provide stuff, and then there is a save button that saves it, and it saves it to your folder. So like for me, it saves it on this PC. I have a Zoom folder, I believe. Document, so yeah, so on my computer, it's documents. Oh wait, you guys can't see my computer right now. I thought I was sharing my screen. All right, let me share my actual screen. Okay, so can you see my files?
You can.
Okay, so when I saved an image of that whiteboard, I can go to Documents, I go to Zoom, and then you can see that it saved, let's see, today's the 28th, it saved an image of whatever the whiteboard looked like at that moment I click save. And so this is something that, you can save the work you do, students can save their work and submit it. And yeah, so that is where it ends up. Any other questions? And like I said, Kate and I are happy to answer questions. If we don't know the answer, we will Google it.
We'll find it for you.
I have found that Zoom knows a lot of people are teaching with it as a, as a virtual teaching option. And so they do have a lot of kind of tips and tricks for using this as a teaching tool. So,
Yep, and we are recording this, so this recording will be available.
And I'm actually going to put in a document right now. So Zoom has a PDF called Tips and Tricks for Teachers Educating on Zoom. It's a PDF, and it links to kind of like what the correct web page is for them, for like where you can find the answer. So that's another option. But yes, Zoom knows this is a teaching tool, and they're trying to make that as easy as possible.
I'm sorry, Rhoda, what do you mean by PP? Powerful. Oh, sorry. Yes, you can. Yes, and I am going to drop in a website as well that already has these instructions available to you right now. I'll drop that in the chat shortly here.
And then, Kate, you're the one who can instructor opening remarks link for Blackboard.
Oh, Phil, are you talking about, like an introduction welcome video to your course? If so, yes, you can record yourself in a Zoom room.
Yeah.
By yourself.
That's Kate. Yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep,
I can take that link, pop it into my Blackboard, opening remarks.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think Kate, she meant putting this video or similar to this.
Yeah, you can definitely record in Zoom, and then you can download those recordings, and you can put them right into your Blackboard course, or is that what you were talking about, Phil?
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about. It would be better than YouTube or some other mechanisms that I've used. I just think this would be quicker, better, faster. It'll be a more present recording.
Yeah, no, I think having a welcome video for your students is a really
I do that each week. Yeah, each week I highlight what's expectations, especially going asynchronous. That's what I was wondering. So thank you.
Yeah, that's great for student engagement. So, and this is definitely a tool that you can use to do that.
Thank you. That's exciting. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, and I believe the staff and faculty have advanced accounts. Is that correct? Well, students will have more kind of like a basic account. So if students do have questions about their Zoom account and theirs looks a little bit different than yours, that could be why.
Yep. And as with most technologies here on campus, if a student has a question, that you don't know the answer to in regards to Zoom, we encourage them to reach out to the help desk. They are very knowledgeable on Zoom and ready to help answer questions. They're preparing themselves. So, and then obviously LMS and the Curriculum Instruction Center is always here for you as well for faculty. You're too kind, Phil. Again, if anyone has any questions, reach out. Otherwise, thanks for coming. And again, this recording will be available, and we'll give you all 20 minutes back to your day.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you both. Great presentation. Very helpful. Thank you.
Good.
Yes, thanks a lot. Take care.
You
Bye bye.
too.
Have a nice one.
You too.
So